Good day, my fellow Russians. So, we have a Bally Power play here. So, nothing extraordinary about it. Really good shape. Belongs to a friend of mine, and he asked me to fix it for him. I said, why not? Let's make it happen. So, the game is fixed. It's 100% functional. But this video is a bit different from what I've done in the past. In the past, you've seen me take displays, fix individual displays, fix individual components, and all the good stuff that happens with these games. But this one, I took a game, non-working, in pieces meaning the head and the body, did everything that I typically do to make these things work, and I got it working. So I thought, hey, let me film one of these processes from start to finish to playing. Okay, so I hope it's a long one, but I hope you guys are going to enjoy this. And rushfan@live.ca, don't hesitate to call me if you need some help or anything like that. And you'll also see me sending, the guy's name is Jim, I'll be sending him updates. Hey Jim, I fixed the display. Hey Jim, I got this to work, I got this to work. So this is also part of the video, so it's a bit more, I think it's a bit more organic that way. But anyway, it was a fun one, and I hope you enjoy it. Good day, fellow Russians. Welcome to the channel. A friend of mine asked me to help him get his Bally Power play working. And I said, no problem. Bring me the head. Let me work on that first. Bring me the body. We'll get her done. So I'm going to show you what I do to make that happen. So, the bulbs seem to be original. And the displays, no burn marks or anything like that. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to go through the head. I'm going to check it out. I'm going to show you what I look for when I get a game of unknown playability. We're going to dissect it and we're going to go through the whole thing. So, again, overall condition is excellent. So I can imagine we're going to find some surprises like everything else. So first of all, we have the Canadian special screw there, the square head Robertson, in place of the machine screws that are typically there. Anyway, such as such. Let's check to see how original this thing is. So, wow, this thing is in really, really good shape. A little dusty, a little dirty, but it's spectacular. So look at this. It says, what's that, 22 February? I'm guessing that says 1978. I don't know, something like that. But it's very consistent with what else we're going to see. So here's the MPU. It's obviously been worked on before. It's got a different battery on it. But look at the date. And look at this date. So January 1979. This is saying March 1979. And this is saying February 1979. So looks like it's pretty legit. We're also seeing that's the original power play wiring with it. And everything looks to be in good shape. So we have the original capacitors. All right, so they're gonna have to be replaced. This looks all good. There's got some battery corrosion. It's obviously been done in the past, and it's got these brown, I think they're Scanby sockets. They're very troublesome. We're gonna see how deep we have to get into it. But what I did notice, ooh, look at this boogie rigging here, eh? Very typical. They burn in the middle. They break, and the field fixes to solder the wires in to, get it serviceable, playable, whatever the case may be. So, again, typically what I would do with a game is if all the wiring is good, I would check the fuses, the values. I would hook up my mini portable pinball machine to it, fire it up, take the voltage specifications off the head, make sure all the wiring is going to, the voltage is going to where it's supposed to, and see if the displays flash on. And then we go through all the boards, check for cracked solder joints and all that good stuff. So right off the bat, this is what we're going to be working on. I do have a video on resurrecting a 41-year-old Bally Power supply, which is identical to this one here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove it. I'm going to replace the pins. We're going to replace the socket. I'm also going to replace all the pins. That process I've showed you in other videos. And once we get this sorted out, we're going to start it up, check voltages, and go through the rest of it. Once I'm done this, then I'll get the body delivered, and we'll see what's up with that. He said it wasn't working. Well, obviously this is a big problem here, especially if you can't get the wires in properly. So I bet you that's the majority of our problem is going to be right here. The confidence level on the Scandies, we'll see how that goes. And yeah, definitely replace these original capacitors, just because they're, what are they, 30, 40 years old? So it's time for some fresh ones, okay? I will bring you back. So just want to show you some investigation here. So I removed the cage. Okay, one of the screws that held it in was not in properly, so thinking, maybe this thing's been out of this thing before. And if we look, yeah, it's wiggling around. There's 2 bolts, screws, whatever you want to call them, that go, oh, here it is, it's loose. Okay, that could, I can't see it getting loose, but anyways, this should be on there really tight. And we're going to take these 3 off. We're going to have to cut this to remove it from its position, and then we will free the base. Let me do this one-handed. If you can avoid dropping screws, try avoiding it, because you don't want things to get lodged. Like, you know, had the screw fallen in here, and obviously we're taking this out, which isn't too bad, but if you're doing this live in the field, it's just another potential for a massive short. Okay, also gives us an opportunity to see what else lurks behind this. What's these? Oh, these are interesting. February 1st, 1978, checked by this person. If you're this person and you happen to have worked on this back in 1978, feel free to say, hey, that's me. Okay, anyways, so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to cut these wires off, and then I'm going to bring that inside and start working on it. Okay, now that we've got it out, we have some lights. We can see that in the past, somebody has replaced this bridge rectifier. This one looks original. This one looks like it's been replaced as well. Okay, so it's had some issues in its past life. Obviously, we've got this that we're going to have to replace. I've got to double check the fuse values, and we're going to check these diodes as well. I normally replace these just as preventive maintenance, but sometimes, you know what, guys and girls, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? So, okay, let's get this inside. We're going to change this header. We're going to come back out. We're going to change this connector. Ooh, we got some mixed up wires here, right? And then I'm going to hook up my little tester and see what she's going to do for us. Okay, so real quickly, just doing some more investigation here. January 79, date stamped. Just going to check the bridges real quick. I'll show you how to do the one. So, multimeter. You want to put it on diode. That's this one here. Okay. Oop. And I almost lost the camera. All right, it's on diode. All right. Positive, red, negative, black. I want you to look at the number here. So, on the actual bridge, you will see a minus, which is right here. You can just barely make it out. There's a little minus sign. Now, you would think you're going to put the black on the minus. You're not. To check a diode, you're going to put the positive. Put the negative to the side. You should get 0.4 to 0.6. So we're at 0.484, which is perfect. Flip it over here. That side's good. 0.4. Okay, this one's good. Now, again, going to put your positive here. 0.4. That's fine. Negative 0.4. That's fine. That's fine. Okay, so these test fine. So these should be good. If you want to check these, it's the same deal. Should go one way off. The other should show 0.4 to 0.6, which is fine. So let's just check these real quick. It's fine. It's fine. And that's fine. Okay, so I'm going to take these screws come off. These Phillips come off. Okay. And what that's going to do, and then you just take these clips off, and then you pull this off, and we'll have access to the back to replace this. Again, this thing is in really nice shape. Like, they usually rust up here. This one's really nice. Still see all the markings. These look perfect. There's no melts, no burns. So this should prove to be a very good little unit. Through the power of magic and video, what I did is I changed the bottom row of pins. Okay, and I also fixed the cracks behind this. I show you that in other videos. And then I checked all the values for the fuses, and of course I found, well, first of all, these two weren't even the right size. If you look in comparison, they're substantially shorter, and they're all 20 amp fuses, and I found them where there should have been, I think that's a 3 amp slow blow, a 3/4, and I think a 5. So somebody had shoved all 20s in there, so hopefully that didn't cause any other grief in the powertrain. But we're going to plug this in now, and I'm going to show you how we're going to power it up. Okay, we've seen these in my other video. This is my portable body on a piece of wood. So basically this replicates the body, and what I really need it for is to, when I turn the on button, to turn on the power supply. So repinned, redone, it's in there. This is from my on the body. I'm not expecting miracles here, guys. If this thing were to flash, that'd be a miracle. But what we're going to do is check all the voltages. Okay, I know there's stuff going on here with these caps being old, and this is totally the wrong fuse for the displays. But we should get the feature, not the feature lights, the general illumination lights to come on. I hope so. Let's give it a shot, see what happens here. So turning it on. Okay, no flashing at the board, but that's kind of what I expected. Okay, this is always a good sign, eh? So we've got that, and I actually have some glow in the lamps, in the displays. So this is good. This is telling me we're getting the voltage required. So let's really quickly check voltages at the transformer here. So put your ground. Now we're going to set it to direct current. Okay, that's the one with the straight line. Just remember, direct line, alternating current. You look at the sine wave, so it alternates, right? So maybe that's an easy way of remembering. AC, alternating, versus DC, direct. And they both have voltage on. So the first one, so test point 1, we're just touching it there. Remember, there's the ground. 45, that's good. This, okay, so on AC, alternating current, second one. All right, gives us 7, that's good. I'm gonna go back to DC, third one. There's the third one there, test point 3. Gives us 15, that's good. It's supposed to be 12, but unregulated, or without load, it's gonna go up a bit. Fourth one, okay, right there. That's the high voltage, test point 2, as you can see, 250, so that's the glow going on with the displays, so this is good. And then this one should be 5 volts, so that's the first one. Okay, and it's showing 6.17. Okay, so this is working fine. Okay, oof, that's a big one. All right, now let's look at voltages going in here, and actually let's look at this. So we've got, this tip is, ooh, this thing is like done. So this is telling me we have a fried, yeah, better not mess with that. We have a fried coil. So here is we're gonna do some test points here to see what kind of voltage we got coming at this. So TP5, what do I have here? Okay, 14, that's the 12 volt, which is fine. TP1, we have 5 volt, which is good. TP3, we should have another 5 volt, 488, a little low, but not bad. What we're gonna do is we're gonna tie these two together. We're gonna do a modification on this thing. Check the back. We're also going to change, remember, these capacitors. These will wake it up as well. And I'm gonna check, this is how you check the high voltage. Put it there. Okay, 163 volts, so this is plenty. Okay, it's right there attached to ground. You turn this if you want, brighten it, you want to turn down the display brightness, you can actually do it from there. This is lethal, guys, don't touch this. You're gonna get zapped pretty good if you do. Let's go to the board. Okay, here's ground up here, test point 4. I want to check test point 5. That's the 5 volt feed. Oh, we got nothing. All right, so guaranteed we got something. Oh, you know what we got going on? We're not plugged in. Let me turn it off. Let's plug it in. Let's see what happens. I just noticed that. Look. That, do you think that might have something to do with it? Well, okay. I'm going to shut it off. Let's plug it in. Actually, that was the better way of doing it, to be honest with you, because you want to bring the voltages up. If there's anything that's over voltaged, if that's a word, you might end up frying some stuff. So, okay, let's put this in. So we checked the voltages here. They were fine. The 5 volt, 12 volt, the 240. Okay, so this might actually change things a bit. Let's see if this light starts flashing here. It should go quick, and then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, we'll hear this relay click, and then we might actually get lights. So ready? Let's go. Wow, okay. We got a brief flicker, so that's somewhat of a sign. Okay, now it's locked on. Okay, we got something going on with this board. All right, so okay, that's actually not a bad sign, guys. We're you know, better off than we were when we first started, I can tell you that. And I know it's going to be these crappy orange sockets which cause the grief with these things. I'm just moving them around real, just to see if we can get some life out of the board. This board's obviously being worked on. It's had some corrosion. These batteries aren't stock, and somebody replaced this chip, the socket, the 5101. Let's see if me just moving those things around might have done something. No. Okay. Well, you know what? At least we've confirmed we've got voltage going to this. Let me double check, actually. Let's not assume. So, I should have 5 volts here, so test point 5. No? Oh yeah, that's actually strong 5. There's a test point 2 here, which is a 12 volts. That's strong at 14, that's good. Okay, so we're getting the proper voltages to the board, the proper electricity flow. Locked up board. Okay, now we're gonna get into some other fun. But again, we got these displays going. And like the good news again with these glows, it's showing us that we have some life. Okay. Let's get on to, first of all, you know what? I'm going to take this one out. I'm going to check for cracked solder joints, replace those two caps. I do the same with that, check for cracked solder joints. We'll see how far we get into it, or we might just recommend to my buddy to replace the board, because sometimes you're chasing your tail with something this old. Okay, over and out. All right, guys, not like me to give up. So I just kind of wiggled some of the sockets around just to see what happened. And I did get it to boot up off camera. So let me turn it on again, see what happens. There it goes. 1, 2, 3, 4. There goes the relay. Bang. Technically, the game is working right now. And there we go with the displays. It's even got its memory. Okay, we got something going on here. So we're gonna check for cracked solder joints. Okay, we got something going on here. Okay, with the 0, that one works. Those two work. I want you to look where that 20 is there. See how, I'll do it with my finger now. See how there's a big circle around the solder? It's called a cracked solder joint. Okay, and we have evidence of a whole bunch of that, even to the naked eye. There's the one at the 20, right next to it 19, so on and so forth. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna go over this and just resolder everything. Yeah, that one's, the first one's got a nice ring around it as well. You can just make it out. Okay, this was one of the displays that wasn't working. So we had this display, so what's that? 1, 2, number 3 and number 2 that weren't working. This one, remember, was kind of strobing, and this one had a stuck digit here. So part of the bulletproofing process is to remove all the displays, remove even all the boards, and check for those cracked solder joints, resolder them, try them again. This one I took out here was fine, and it had evidence of some previous work. The way we can tell, what I'm going to show you here. You say, hey, how do we know? Well, look at, first of all, the resistors are like way out of place. You can see that one. Oh, it's a lot bigger. And then you can see new blobs of solder. So this one's being reworked. And this one's actually really good as far as cracked solder joints go, but I will go through the exercise of resoldering them anyway, just because the first one just starting to develop a ring. So that's part of making sure this is bulletproof. And then you can see where it's blacker on the board here. It's probably one of the resistors on that side that have been replaced right there. Probably burnt, caused the display not to work. But this one is working fine, so we're not really going to mess with it. But hopefully that'll be the same issue with this one, where it was stuck on that 8 was stuck on. That's sometimes to do with these and these. Okay, but we'll get into that. Quick update, this is the solenoid driver board. This supplies the voltages to the displays, and this part fires off all the coils. It also converts the voltages from 120 volt through some bridge rectifiers, gets it down to 12 volt, 5 volt, whatever. Here's what we did. We replaced the caps. Of course, it had a 20 amp fuse in here, which is right here. These are a smaller fuse. You can't get the proper one, which is like 3/16 of an amp. So you have to do this modification. Fuse is in here. And on the back of the board, we do some other modifications. Namely, we tie another couple of ground points together. These are the fuses from the other side. And then another modification like so. This thing's had some prior repairs. This tip exploded. I tested it, seems to be okay. I will know 100% once I get the play field from you, but next thing is the displays. I'll send you another video on that. And here's the displays. 2 out of the 5 worked. Those are the old caps, by the way, that came off this board. Most of the problems are with the solder joints cracking. I don't know if you can see, this is probably the best example right here. Basically, where it pops through, the solder around it breaks, And this one was pretty bad. So what I got to do is reflow all the solder joints, all the boards, try them again, and hopefully we have all the digits working. If not, it depends on how deep I want to go down the rabbit hole, but I'll let you know once we get to that point, okay? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, now it is time to reflow the solder on the header pins for the displays. Remember, 2 of the 4 displays worked, and the credit one I wasn't 100% sure. So what we're doing is we're just throwing new solder at the header pins. I'll explain what happens in a second. These crack over time and causes wonky issues. So anyway, as long as it's taking me to do it, is the first step that I do anyway when I repair displays. So what happens is where the pin comes through, I want you to pretend this is one of these pins here, my finger, and the solder goes around. What literally happens is the solder cracks. So by putting more solder, you complete the circuit. Okay, I'm going to finish these off, and we'll try them in the game. This is your lamp driver board. It turns all the controlled lights on and off on the playfield, all the ones that dance and do all that nice stuff. I guess you can guess it. I don't know if you can see it, but yes, we have cracked solder joints again. I don't know if you can make them out or not. That's a good shot. So it's the first one and the last one. Anyway, every one of these has to be reflowed. So I guess we'll talk to you tomorrow. All right. Everything's pointing to this chip, which you can't readily get anymore. So we're going to take it off one that I have here. The thing is, I've got to desolder this thing, which I already did. Where is it? There it is. So you can see where I desoldered it with my Hacko desoldering gun. This thing's legend. You just put it in, pull the trigger, and it sucks the solder out. One of the best investments I made. So anyway, I'm going to take this off. I'm going to socket it. So we're going to put a socket under here, just like this one. So socket, and then we'll give it a shot. Piss in my boots and call me squishy. That's it for tonight, buddy.